It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. The sun is up. It's going to be like 120 out here. Andy, what happened to spring? It like went.
Oh, there was no spring in Arizona.
It was like spring for 3 days, and now it's like 100. Yeah.
Is it really? Seriously?
Oh, yeah. It was snowing in Chicago. I had friends back there, and it was like last weekend it was snowing, and I thought it's like 97 degrees here. This is messed up.
Well, that is unacceptable.
That's right. Somebody ought to fix that.
What is it right now? Right now, as we record this at 7:30 in the morning, what is it right now?
Hey Siri, what's the temperature in Phoenix right now? Let's see what Siri says. 71 right now.
It's 49 degrees here.
Oh, my
Jeez.
gosh.
Well, today is supposed to be only a high of 93, so it's
Yeah.
cooling
Only
down.
93.
It's cooling down.
We're getting into outdoor casting weather, you know, if we're going to be
It's
up this
past
early.
that.
True.
No, 70 degrees isn't too bad if you're in the shade.
Yeah.
If you're not out in direct sunlight, you'd be okay.
Yeah.
What do we know? How's your movie week?
Good. We can go back to we can wait till Marvel to talk about everybody's reviewing, but of Endgame. But I watched last night. Was it Leave No Trace? Which I kept hearing things about, and that's up in your neck of the woods.
Yeah,
literally.
right. It's literally in my neck of the woods. Like it's 10 minutes from my house.
I was going to say that's your backyard that they filmed that in, right?
Right.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I actually watched that with my daughter. She didn't know what was going on. I just put this thing on. It was on Canopy, and she's like, "What's this?" I said, "Well, it's a story about this, father and daughter, and they live in the woods." And she said, "Is this a documentary or is this fiction?" I said, "It's fiction." And she said, "Okay." And at the end, she said, I really like that because it's not your typical teenager, comedy thing, action thing. It's a really quiet, just sort of character piece about this relationship between, in this family and decisions that they have to make. And I was really impressed. It's one of my favorite movies from 2018 that it just hit me. And I think it's the family piece to it, but just so well done. And that I had to look into who made it. I was like, oh yeah, Winter's Bone. That's another one that I remember having that sort of same response of, I haven't seen something like this in a long time. And it just really well done. Simple story. Really, really well done.
Yeah. It's one of those that, I mean, it's, it is done exceptionally well for such a quiet film. Like, I mean, even Rotten Tomatoes is still, it's performing incredibly well. The audience is really connected with the movie. So,
And that was a trailer pick,
nice.
wasn't it?
It was.
So,
Yeah.
I sense a trailer rewind episode.
It could be a possibility. Yeah.
Oh, it's a lock for trailer rewind. Come on, JJ, he practically lives there.
He won't be scared.
True. No, he won't have to watch it from behind the couch or down the hallway or anything like that. Oh,
That's right.
So have you guys seen anything except Endgame since last week?
I'll tell you, for me, it's just been like crushing week after week of Game of Thrones stuff. So I have been, buried in cast interview watching and clip watching and just trying to suss out what are they going to do now that after this week, my pet theory of how the show is going to end has completely been obliterated. And so I don't know what to do with myself. I was a lock. Like I thought this is absolutely going to be what happens. And then they did something this week that crushed all my dreams and hopes. And now I'm awash at sea. With the Game of Thrones. Are you guys watching it? I know, Andy, you're probably not yet.
No, not yet.
No, not yet.
Like not watching the show at all, or just not watching this season?
I'm reading the books.
Oh dear.
And yeah, I know. And I started, this was the thing. I'd heard so much hype about it. We didn't have HBO, went to the library, started watching, and it was just like, I'm really into it. My wife's like, it's the HBO porn factor where she's just like, why can't they just focus on the story? This is just gratuitous she's like, she's like, the story's not compelling me that much. And I was like, yeah, all right. I think I was halfway through the first book at that time. I'm like, I'm enjoying the books. I'll get to that. I always prefer reading the books and then watching the adaptation. And I know there's a divergence that happens. I'm really enjoying the books. I'm really enjoying getting to know these characters in depth, and I'm concerned that a condensed version, I'm going to have that factor of like, there's so much being left out and being disappointed with the show.
Well,
so.
yeah.
Well, the books are fantastic, but just be forewarned that he hasn't finished it, and at the rate he's going, he might not.
He's not the only one. The other one is Patrick Rothfuss and his trilogy, and I'm like, with both these guys, I'm like, dude, just sit down and write the dang thing. I know you got all these other projects you're enjoying, but your fans would really like you to sit down and finish this stuff that you started.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like their celebrity has gotten in the way of them getting back to finishing the things that got them to where they were.
Well, their celebrity and their work on the show, like in the case of George Martin, like he's written scripts for the show. I don't know how much he's written this season, but I feel like this, to your point, Steve, the sort of acceleration, it frustrates me a little bit that this is a short season, even though they're giving us longer episodes. Like this week's episode was an hour and a half or something, and it still felt like, I'll just say, for those who haven't seen it, this week's episode was a culmination and sort of the resolution of a particular storyline that has been running since season 1. So it was, for those of us who watch the show, a big deal. And even at an hour and a half, that resolution felt rushed. It felt like we've been moving toward this, and it resolved so quickly I had to watch the last half hour again. It was just like not satisfying. It happened so fast. And so I don't know how they're going to do the last 3 episodes of the film, but they've got, let's just say, a lot to do. It is the end game of, it's yet another one of these things with, 50 central characters that we have to resolve their storylines in about 6 hours of screen time, and that's hard to do. And so everything I've heard is, once again, like Endgame, the actors have all been crying and they're all very excited about how it ends, and and I want to have that experience. I'm primed for it. I'm deeply emotionally invested in the universe. I think it's going to be great, but it's happening really fast, and that's makes me sad.
So speaking of crying, my oldest, who has and I think this just gets to certain people find their path in life, and they're built a certain way, and they find their fit with things. Hannah has wanted to be a veterinarian since she was 5, and it's dealing with animals. That's one of those heartbreaking things. She does not cry at movies. She's able to just like distance herself. So she texted me yesterday, saying, "Hey, I'm listening to the Endgame Film Board." And I said, "Okay, tell me what you think." And she said, "Well, I think it's funny that everybody's talking about crying and all these tear-jerking moments, because I wasn't really close to crying at all. I felt sad, but I walked out and was like, okay, that's fine." Which I think is great, because she's going to have to, people are going to be bringing their little fur babies to her, that she at one point is going to have to perform surgery on or put them down, and she's able to just distance herself emotionally and say, okay, I'm not going to break down and cry as I put down this family's friend that they've had for 12 years, or a little puppy or something. So she's able to just put this barrier around, and the tears don't come out. She has cried at Dead Poets Society and Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. So she is capable of crying. And I thought this one would get her. I thought there would be at least one point but she said, no tears from her on this one. So now people in the theater, she said, yeah, she heard them crying and all that, but just, didn't get to her. I thought, oh God, child, you are cold-hearted.
Wow.
Sometimes.
I wonder how big a crossover that is of criers that cry at both Endgame and Me, Earl and the Dying Girl. Like, is that almost a perfect circle, or is it not a circle at all?
Well, but think about when you were young. When did you start crying in movies? Because I don't think I ever cried in movies as a kid. I think it's something that happened as I got older.
Are we going to go there? Because I have.
Do you have a story?
I have an embarrassing. I do have an embarrassing. It was. I think I saw it in the theater. This is weird. It's how kids connect with movies differently. For me, it was 1977, the Jeff Bridges King Kong, when Kong is shot down and he's there like on the streets of New York dying. I think I was in tears, because there's this poor innocent, huge ape that was taken from his home, and it wasn't any fault of his own, and they killed him, and it really upset me as a kid. And that's one where
who won't cry to that is your daughter, because it's an animal, and she won't
well, yeah, exactly. She'll be like, well, yeah, and she's like, it's a movie, I know.
I thought it was. I don't remember. I think I cried at E.T. I cried. Oh, gosh, I mean, I think I'm an emotionally invested kid in movies. Like I started welling up early, and I was actually gratified to see. Like I asked it was 3D when we saw Endgame, and so even though I was like staring at my children as I'm watching them watch the movie, I couldn't quite tell when they were crying. And at the end, I asked my son, like, when did he well up at all? He's like, oh yeah, and he's 13.
My kids don't cry in movies.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait,
Olivia will get emotionally invested in something like when I took her to Everest or took her to The Finest Hour, but she doesn't cry. She just gets like heartbroken, and she'll like curl in my lap and like she's really upset that people are dying. Yeah, it's trauma, but there's no tears. But Endgame, she looked at me. She kept looking at me and like smirking, like, I can't believe my dad's crying at this. That's what I got through the whole movie.
I think I don't know. I like to think that my daughter cried. I think the big Cap moment, the big twist. I won't say it, but the big Cap moment, I think, might have drawn some joyous welling from her. Yeah. I know she nearly stood up and got out of her seat. I had to hold her down. So there's that. There's an enthusiasm, and it also comes with a rage on the other side. Like even though like where my kids won't cry, on the other side they'll get mad at movies, and they'll hold grudges. Yeah. I'm glad we got that figured out. That Steve Ray is a complete badass.
I finally watched Halloween 3: Season of the Witch.
Oh, and that's an interesting one. It was far from a perfect film, but I had a lot of fun watching it. And I'm like, why could people not have allowed this idea of an anthology franchise to take off? Because I loved the whole concept, but I think because it failed, they're like, oh, nope, we better go back to what we did in the first two. And then we had just a whole series of all of those that, the Michael Myers, I don't think that they ever got better after the first one. And so it's unfortunate, but I loved the idea. It was a fun concept that they kind of created this anthology series that's just loosely tied around Halloween. And, certainly with horror films and horror anthologies and things like that, it's a fun way to tell these stories, and it would have been cool, but it's worth checking out. Just don't go in expecting Michael Myers and or a perfect film. It's far from a perfect film, but it is at least fun and entertaining.
Is it as good or better than Jaws 3 in 3D?
Oh, it's better than Jaws 3.
What?
Far better
How
than
can you
Jaws.
possibly say that?
Jaws 3. I loved it at the time, probably because it was 3D. It's probably my first 3D movie. But it was. Oh God, have you gone back to that one? It is so bad.
No.
Why would one go back to that movie, Andy?
That's the Dennis Quaid one, right?
Jaws. Yes.
Dennis Quaid and Bess Armstrong.
SeaWorld, basically.
Yes.
It's SeaWorld. Yeah. Yes. Okay.
I think that film is the film that I've been thinking about it a lot lately, because that film is the film that actually. Because I think that's where I sprung my anxiety around aquarium glass.
Oh,
I just don't buy it.
Okay.
I don't buy that it worked.
Sense.
And I think it was Jaws who actually helped me sprout that little thing. I think about it every time. And then when Aquaman came back around, I thought, okay, shark could make it through that glass.
Yeah,
that CG shark could totally make it through that CG glass. So, man, I had such a crush on Bess Armstrong though back in the day. Woof. I watched that. I saw that movie multiple times in the theater. It's a 3.6 on the IMDb. Sorry. No, it's not a good movie.
And where's Halloween 3?
That's a great question.
It's certainly higher than that. I'm going to guess 6.5.
A 4.8, Andy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's better than that. It's better than that. I think a lot of people rate it based on the fact that it's not a Michael Myers film.
Yeah.
Yes. They went thinking they were going to get Coke, and they got their magic shamrock root beer there instead.
Their magic shamrock root beer. Do you know that? Doesn't sound good
is it magic
anybody?
shamrock or silver shamrock?
Silver
is it magic
shamrock.
or silver?
Silver
Shamrock. Right. Yes. Okay.
2 more days to Halloween. It's really incessant, that commercial.
All right. What do we have in Marvel news?
Other than the movie doing really, really well, which I think everybody knows because it seems like it's all the news. Breaking records left and right. And then let's see what else. We got some new faces joining Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I believe, right?
Yes.
And
I guess I'm not up on that news. Hold on. What do we know?
Well, let's see. Clark Gregg is directing the premiere episode of season 6, which is going to premiere this coming Friday, May 10th. And then let's see. In the new faces, we have Izelle, played by Carolina Wydra. We have Malachi, played by Christopher James Baker. Dr. Marcus Benson, played by Barry Shabaka Henley. And those are the 3 new people that are going to be showing up in season 6.
I don't know. I think it's great. It's one of those shows that, like, it's been on the bubble for so long, like just trying to figure out, does it have a solid season 5 now? Yes, it does. It has a really solid season 5. Does it have a solid season 6? And I think that this one is a abbreviated season, right? I think they're only getting a half season, 13 episodes. And that makes me sad because I personally really enjoyed the show. But it'll be interesting to see, again, are they going to have to rush it to figure out how to tie up these storylines that maybe had already been sort of resolved when they were uncertain at the end of season 5. So sometimes that can lead to kind of a disappointing final season.
Yeah, I guess.
Although I have to say that the fact that Clark Gregg, is back as a new character. What are they going to do with him? Apparently, he's coming back as a character named Sarge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting. And they've given, Chloe Bennett is further, evolved in her Quake character, which I really enjoy. I think that's one of those characters I would love to see, make a transition to the big screen. So,
yeah,
Daisy Johnson.
It'll be interesting.
Anyhow,
it will be interesting.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah. And then let's see what else is going on in Marvel news. They've got this is I think something that everybody has been waiting to find out about. That if you go to Disneyland After Dark, Heroes Assemble, which is the Marvel theme where they have all the Marvel characters running around, they now have a mission where you can gather 6 Infinity Stone churros.
What? What? What are we talking about right now?
Okay.
Yes, it's
Infinity Stone churros.
The article says it's a ticketed after-hours event. The Disneyland After Dark Heroes Assemble. It's a ticketed after-hours event held at Disney California Adventure. It allows guests to live out their superhero fan dreams. Throughout the night, special event-themed treats were available, notably 6 Infinity Stone-themed churros. You have to build a team, get an Infinity Gauntlet, gather the churros to win the night.
Oh.
Oh, I just love that.
Oh, no.
So
I sure hope that time churro lets you go back and eat it over and over again.
Wow.
Yeah,
those churros.
They have it all posted. Yeah. I mean, serious. Like you have it's like a gauntlet, like a full-on Thanos gauntlet that you're wearing. It's a gauntlet.
Churros sticking out of it.
It's actually a gauntlet. This is good to know. It's actually a gauntlet sipper that is actually full of cherry Coke. It's got a straw coming out of its the thumb joint, so you can drink your cherry Coke. Let's see. The Soul Stone was retrieved from Carsland Cozy Cone Motel. It was an orange flavored churro. Then you had the Space Stone, which was a blue raspberry flavored churro at the Paradise Gardens Park. You had a let's see, the Mind Stone was at Pixar Pier. It was lemon flavored. Then you had the Reality Stone. It was cherry flavored in Hollywoodland. The Power Stone was blackberry flavored in where is that one? It doesn't say. The Time Stone is the it doesn't say where that one is. Green apple flavored though. So
green apple churro.
Yeah, I have
suit
to
up, everybody.
I have to. I'm gonna. Send
you have
you
to
this
share that picture
because it's fantastic. Oh my goodness, it is hilarious to look at here. I'll drop it in. I don't know where I'm going to drop it here.
Those do not look appetizing at all.
Did you find it?
Oh yeah. You started talking about it. I said I have to find out if this.
There, I'm just putting it into the MMM community channel for you guys to look at.
All right.
It's really...
God.
It's really
yeah.
funny.
Oh, God. Why would why? It's like blue, purple, orange, yellow.
Oh, yeah.
Don't eat those, people. Don't eat those. And then it's a cup, like you're supposed to like fill the whole gauntlet with...
Cherry Coke.
With Cherry Coke?
Not at the same time.
No, you drink that first,
right, and then you dip your
dip
your sugar donut in it.
Oh wow!
Okay, well, I gotta move on from that gastrointestinal disaster. I realize I do have some Marvel show news. Can we talk about Hulu?
Sure.
Okay, what's going on?
Have you gotten to the Ghost Rider bit in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Either of you?
I'm not watching.
I'm still in season 1.
No.
So that's a hard no. Yeah. Okay, here's the thing. Yeah. Ghost Rider there's a whole season where Ghost Rider is a principal character, and the part is played by Gabriel Luna, and he is terrific. Gabriel Luna he's in a whole bunch of other stuff. He was in True Detective and Wicked City and Matador, and he's in the upcoming Terminator Dark Fate. So he's a fantastic and talented actor. And it turns out, as Variety reports, that Hulu is bringing a Ghost Rider live action series, and Gabriel Luna is coming back to play that, moving over from ABC to Hulu. And so I think this is going to be really fun because, if anything, he showed that his Ghost Rider is one that's incredibly compelling to me. And I think they did just the right stuff, just the right backstory. Not sure how much they're going to give it time to do backstory, if they're just going to jump right into story. I think it would be great if they just jumped right into story and pick up where Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. left off, as long as it's, in universe, might as well lean in on that. And so I am very excited to see what Robbie Reyes is going to do now that he moves over to Marvel Hulu. Yep.
Right.
Yeah, it should be really fun. And it, in addition to all of the Hulu animated stuff that they've got coming on, and Runaways, which is going into its 3rd season. It's Hulu is now the place for Marvel stuff until Disney Plus launches. Now, I'm actually not sure if this is going to launch on Hulu before Disney Plus comes out. We'll see. That'll be interesting. No dates yet, but it's coming.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right. It's good to know it's not reprising the Ewan McGregor Ghost Rider. Is that too obscure a joke?
Ewan McGregor's Ghost Rider. Are you referring to where he did his motorcycle ride around the world or something?
No, with him and Pierce Brosnan. You don't remember Ghost Rider?
What?
I don't.
It's Ghost
Writer.
What are you
talking about?
Ghost Writer.
I totally remember that.
Way too obscure a joke.
Yeah, that was officially too obscure a joke. Well
no
done.
Coffee. Not enough coffee to pull that.
Do you want to go
off.
get some? We'll wait.
No, not enough coffee for you guys. Clearly, to catch on with my sheer comedic brilliance.
You have had too much coffee, and that your comedic brilliance shoots over our heads.
Right.
Because that's a interesting Venn diagram of the Marvel universe with Roman Polanski. That's just not a lot of overlap there that I think happens.
Yeah.
You're in a small group there.
I know. Roman Polanski superhero, The Tenant.
Yeah. No, oh my gosh, the ghostwriter, the pianist. Oh my, he's got his own cinematic universe
there
going
is
there.
a Polanski cinematic universe. We're never going to see how they tie
great.
together, unfortunately.
I want somebody to build that. That'll have to be the Polanski Marvel. Is that the PCU?
The PCU, and just wait for the theme park, kids.
No kids allowed in that theme park.
Come on down to Polanski Land, 18 and over. NDAs required.
Oh, wow.
All right. We got to
get out of this one quick.
Yeah,
pull
please.
us out.
Okay,
Going down.
Let's do some trailers. Do we have any that suggest an order?
I don't think we have any A24 or Red Band. No, we don't.
Then what do we do?
We can go in chronological order in the setting of the movie.
Okay, let's do that.
Wow. Okay, sure.
That's weird.
That's exactly the
Then
way
I guess I go first.
Because we've got 2 period pieces, so I thought, I don't know, we'll get those out of the way.
Outstanding. I'm very excited then. My film it's actually been floating around for a while. Premiered last year at Sundance. It is the Claire McCarthy directed Ophelia. Tells the story of the rebellious and motherless child Ophelia, taken to Elsinore Castle by Queen Gertrude, played by Naomi Watts. As the lady in waiting, Ophelia captures the affections of young Prince Hamlet. Yes, you know the story. But this time it is told over her shoulder, not his, and the part of Ophelia is played by Daisy Ridley. I think that this trailer looks really interesting. It is... it's one of those that again we're taking the classic work and we're pivoting it and we're changing perspectives, and I enjoy the look of the film, and it's one that serves as a curiosity to me. Is this going to be one that I like when they pivot these stories and we get to see the perspective of the story from this different character. It is kind of unique to Shakespeare, maybe, where we have this opportunity, and I wonder whose story I like better. I really enjoyed Rosencrantz and Guildenstern's. So am I going to like Ophelia better than Hamlet's story? Maybe Shakespeare told the wrong character's principal story. Who knows?
Oh, we're in the Hamlet cinematic universe.
We are
now.
in the Hamlet cinematic universe. What do you guys think?
Was Rosencrantz and Guildenstern the first time that you guys know of where somebody took other characters in a story and told it from their perspective?
It was the first time I was aware of it.
Because it certainly has grown into a thing. I feel like it went from there to, who's it? What's the author's name? Gregory Dunn or something, who did Wicked and Confessions of a Wicked Stepsister. And
exactly.
He kind of did all of those. And then that kind of spawned this whole version of these stories, Van Helsing, and looking at the whole story from a different character's perspective. Maleficent. It's an interesting perspective to take on stories, and I kind of like looking at stories from these other viewpoints. It's like looking at a war from different countries, the way that they make their films, so you can kind of get how their country might have interpreted a particular battle or something like that. I think it's a really interesting way to tell a story, and this one looks really interesting. It's not a character I ever sadly gave much thought to as far as that. I mean, maybe it's because of the way her story ends in the film. It's a trickier one to do, but it looked, I don't know. And it looks like they're taking some liberties with the overall story, but it still looks really intriguing. And so to that end, I was like, oh, this looks like something that could be an interesting way to kind of enhance my enjoyment of the story of Hamlet. I'm
intrigued by this approach. The first one that those are all movies. I know it happened in literature. And Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead was a play first, Tom Stoppard, and then I was aware of that. But I think the first one that I was aware of in literature was Wide Sargasso Sea, which was made into a movie, maybe 10 or so years ago. But it was a novel written in the 60s that was taking a character from Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre, and it takes the Rochester's crazy wife, and it's her perspective of like what drove her insane. And so I'm intrigued by the same thing with Ophelia. I think because of the exact point you make, Andy, about Ophelia, it's a character not a lot of thought is given to. She's sort of a mysterious character with a tragic end. So I'm really intrigued by what they're going to do with the overlap, sort of like in Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. How do you tell the story? How do you always get back to those points in the story that everybody's familiar with in Shakespeare's play? How will those scenes look now that we have a different context? And is it going to give us some, perspective and understanding to her overall story arc within Hamlet's story? It's a tough thing to pull off. I think when it's done well, it can be really, really rewarding. I don't know Claire McCarthy because the trailer, it said like from the visionary filmmaker Claire McCarthy. I'm like, I don't know who Claire McCarthy is or what's visionary about her work that she's done. Are either of you familiar with Claire McCarthy? Or should I be?
I don't know. She's she's done a bunch of stuff that I haven't seen. I have seen a couple of episodes of The Luminaries. She was a director on the Luminaries, which was the miniseries. And it's definitely that is another period piece, but it stars some people that I'm into, and so it's an interesting thing. I mean, it takes place in New Zealand in the 1860s, and so it's she has a handle on that stuff. This seems like clearly the biggest that she's done, and it is they're giving it a height of the summer release, right? June 28th in the US at least. And so I mean it's interesting, but for me, just like you guys said, I mean the idea of giving Ophelia a little bit of agency to see what takes her from this orphan girl to kind of losing it and having that sad end. How are they gonna play that out in this one? Curious. So anyway, June 28th, get ready for it. Cool off with a little Ophelia this summer.
Take a nice dip in the pool.
That's right. Oh. Okay. That's gross.
Okay. It's the 80s and it's teenagers. And so why wouldn't I pick a trailer like this? This is Blinded by the Light, set in 1987 during, Thatcher's Britain. We've got a story about a teenager trying to find out, find his place in society. And despite, I think, being from Pakistan, finds his plight, his trauma, his struggle is expressed no better than lyrics of Bruce Springsteen. And this is from director Gurinder Chadha, who brought us Bend It Like Beckham back in, what was that, like the early 2000s? But similar themes here of, you're finding your place, your family and their culture versus where you're living and fitting in and identity and being true to who you are, even if it doesn't fit in with who your family thinks you should be. Some really great visuals that I saw in the trailer. I'm really looking forward to great, I think, coming of age, uplifting, positive story about, strife of being a teenager. I will say I am not like a huge Bruce Springsteen fan. Yes, there's songs of his that I enjoy, but he's one of these musicians that I feel like maybe now later in life with some life experience, maybe I'll connect with his lyrics. Didn't connect as strongly as our main character here in Blinded by the Light did in his teenage years. But this just looks like a lot of fun for the summer. There's the whole nostalgia factor of the 80s and bringing the music. It seems like we talked about we got the Beatles one yesterday that's also coming out. So it's just like, I think movies around music and the strong role that music can play in people's lives is, I think, when done well, can be really, really rewarding. That's what I'm hoping for from this one. What did you guys think?
I loved it, and in fact, I was disappointed that you picked it as a trailer because I wanted to do it.
I knew you were going to say that. I said, I'm going to take this, but I'm stealing Pete's trailer is what I'm doing. I'm totally stealing Pete's trailer.
I was super into this trailer. I'm into all of the little visual tricks. I love the lyrics on screen and on objects around his head. I mean, everything about that just drew me in. This feels like, feels like Sing Street. And you know how I felt about Sing Street. So I was a big fan of this trailer. I cannot wait to see it. If I can just I hope that it's one that gets a nice wide release because I want to throw money at it.
Yes.
So
the next 1.2 billion opening weekend.
Yes, that's right.
By the lake.
That's right.
Pete will throw all of his money at it.
I'm going to throw all the money.
You're going to have to wait till August 14th to do that, Pete. Can you hold out that long?
I don't know. Where can I get a screener?
I don't know.
I think it looks pretty interesting. I'm not a huge Springsteen fan, but I still love the idea of this sort of story. So it really piqued my curiosity. I did actually work very briefly with Gurinder Chadha. I shouldn't say very briefly on a Gurinder Chadha project when she came through Arizona to film here when she was doing Bride and Prejudice back in 2004. It was just one quick little shot, basically, or a couple shots in a musical montage as they were singing themselves across the country, basically. And it was a shot of the main couple singing Up on the Rocks in Sedona. So
there you go. So clearly you've got connections. You can get Pete that screener.
Yes.
What can you do? Move mountains, Andy.
Definitely not allow it to hit the 1.2 billion though, but
just under. So, Andy, why did you bring a horrifying, destructive trailer to this segment?
I wonder. Because it's fun, Pete. Because it's fun. I really, I was looking at trailers and I'm like, oh, I have to do this one. It's all the stuff that terrifies me. You've got disastrous hurricanes destroying Florida, and then of course, because of the amount of flooding, you have alligators, and this trailer, Crawl, directed by Alexandra Aja and produced by Sam Raimi, it has a great claustrophobic feel that I think works really well and is pretty terrifying, but really fun. I mean, it's these guys behind it. It's bound to be kind of just a fun monster movie. That's exactly what this is. And it looks like it's going to be kind of a nonsensical fun film. It was filmed in Serbia, not Florida, just to clarify that. It's like a get out of the house alive movie. This girl played by Kaya Scodelario, I believe is how you say her name. She's trying to help her father. She goes to her father's place as Florida's being evacuated, but he's hurt in the basement and they're trying to get out now as the house is flooding. And her father, of course, the wonderful Barry Pepper. And, I don't know. This looks so much fun. It certainly looks better than what Aja did with his Piranha 3D film, which was a little...
You shut your mouth.
He went a little too cheeky, I thought, but it was fun, but a little too cheeky. Still, he's an interesting director, and actually a connection to our Cedric Klappich franchise, because it, of course, Aja also directed High Tension, which starred Cecily de France. So there you go. Look at that. I found a way to connect it randomly.
I know. Like it's the 6 colors of Cedric, or 6, what is
six
it?
Colors.
6 degrees of Cedric Klappich.
Oh, right.
No, it's the six colors of the gauntlet. You can do that. Yeah.
6 colors of the Infinity Gauntlet.
The 6 Infinity Stones.
Churros. The 6 churros of the Infinity Gauntlet. Look, it is Piranha 3D that opens the door for me to be able to think about seeing Crawl. And I have to tell you, I'm into it. Like I actually found myself like intrigued, and I don't know why. I should be very upset by gators, and especially when I learned about that whole thing about crocodiles that climb trees. Oh, that's not good.
Yes.
That's legit fear right there. But I thought this looked like just layering on so many horrors one after another. It finally got over the top for me, and I think this is one I'm going to see, and we'll see. Maybe I'll take the kids.
Not to mention did you see that recent viral video of the woman who was filming the alligator that was outside her house, and it like climbed up onto her windowsill to peek through? It's like, no, stay on the ground where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, right. Stay in your lane, crocodile.
What I loved about this is right from the onset, the trailer sets up, puts to rest, like, why don't they just call somebody? No, it's Category 5 hurricane. There's no way for them to communicate. How can we isolate these characters in this house so that nobody's like, oh, well, if they had just done. No, there's nobody around, which I love. It gives us that isolation. It's just the two of them in the house. There's nobody coming to get them reasonably. We do eventually, of course, we're going to have somebody come, right? We're going to have some police show and get chewed up, because where else can you go with this? But so many just great moments in the trailer. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Will I go see it in the theater? I don't know. Maybe, depends on what kind of buzz it gets, but this is how you do. This is the horror films that I like. These thrillers, there's going to be all these jump scares. They're going to make me leap out of my seat into the aisle, and I'm going to know they're coming, and I'm going to fall for it, but I'll enjoy the ride while I'm on it. And we haven't had an alligator movie like this in a while that I know of. So.
I haven't been tracking.
Lake Placid might be the last one.
Oh yeah,
it may have been
with Betty White. I love that.
And wasn't that was like a huge alligator? Here, I love that we go small. We're in a confined space, and it's maybe a large alligator, but it doesn't have to be monstrously large. It's still intimidating and threatening because you're stuck in a house with a large alligator. That's
what they missed out on with this is it's a flood. The ocean is rising and coming onto Florida. There also should have been sharks.
Well, that's the sequel.
This
Crawl and swim.
Yeah, right. That's what I was actually worried about. That this was going to be more. And I think the scares in the trailer, I think, were just right. Like they weren't. They were serious, intentional like scares. They weren't like cheeky scares. But then you look at the poster, and I love the poster so much. It might be my favorite so far this season. It is a suburban storm scene in suburban Florida, and the sign, if you read it kind of closely, it's danger. Alligators are common in this area. Okay, so far so good. That seems like a sign I would read. They can be dangerous. Oh, okay, yeah, no, I get it. They are known to stalk their prey. Okay, now wait. I've never seen that on a sign in the suburbs. They will hunt you. Okay, now I get it. And the tagline for the movie is "They were here first." Okay. Yep. All right, I'm in, Crawl.
Well, anyway, this one's opening this summer, July 12th. It'll be a little post Spider-Man joy to jump in and have some scares. Yes. There you go.
All right, let's do the list.
Yes. So this week we are wrapping up our Cedric Klappich Spanish Apartment trilogy with Chinese Puzzle, and the people, a few of them spoke. It wasn't an outpouring of votes. I think people were like, meh. Not too many votes on this one, but we did end up getting divorce films. That's where we landed. So we're here to talk about divorce films.
All right. Well, I had a real trouble with this list. It was hard to come up with this list. I guess it's because divorces in movies don't like latch on to my memory. Like I can't place them. The movies that I can place are not movies that I liked very much. And so as soon as I started digging in a little bit, I found a couple that I really enjoy, not necessarily for the divorces that are represented in them, but because I think they're better movies. And I'd like to open the bidding with what I can only imagine might be a race to get this one on the list, and so I'm glad that I'm first. That is 2011's Crazy Stupid Love with Steve Carell, Ryan Gosling, and Julianne Moore. And I go back and I start watching a bunch of clips from this movie, and I remember what it was like when Ryan Gosling played a character that had personality, and it was like such joy in that. He's been such a stoic for so long now that like I really remembered how much I enjoyed this film, and I thought it was Steve Carell was just terrific in this movie, directed by Glenn Ficarra and John Ricwa, and written by Dan Fogelman. Crazy Stupid Love.
That's a good one.
Yes. Yeah, I know it's come up several times because I love this movie just as much, and I think it's one of these sort of overlooked comedy gems. I don't know, because I remember seeing this and just having so much fun and thinking, why are people not? I don't know. It just doesn't come up that often, but it's been a while since I've seen it, but it just seemed so solid with such a great cast. So I think people
so
need to
funny.
go see this. They need to track it down and see it. Yes.
Totally.
Yeah. It's not a hard one to track down.
Thank
It's
you.
pretty much out there everywhere, but it's one worth watching.
This one I hadn't seen in a long time, and I saw it. I was traveling for work, and it was like on HBO, and I was like, I haven't seen this in a long time, and does it hold up? Yeah, I'm surprised it does. And my wife said the only reason you're putting this on your list is so you can say, "Oh, it's the claw. The claw is gonna get you. Here comes the claw." Jim Carrey, liar, liar, and the separated parents and the kid's wish. It's one I remember having a great time with, and I hadn't seen it in a long, long time. And I thought, people may have forgotten about this Jim Carrey one. His career's sort of gone off the rails, and it was a nice, peak of his career. And for me, it still really worked. It feels a little dated now in some aspects, but I just really had a good time seeing that one again. Liar, liar.
That was going to be on my list, but they were already divorced, so I didn't pick that one. She's his ex already, but that's okay.
Oh, well, right.
It still is a very funny movie.
Yeah.
Totally.
Andy and his rules.
All right, Andy, what do you got? What's your number 3?
For my first one, I'm going with a film that I feel like I owe a revisit to because I haven't seen it since it was in theaters, and I really just loved it. It was a great film called Waiting to Exhale, directed by Forrest Whitaker, based on Terry McMillan's book. And it is about 4 women who live in Phoenix, weirdly, before I ever had even considered living in Phoenix. It's a film about their lives and their relationships. And they each have something going on. One of them, she is the other woman. She's having an affair and, has convinced herself that he's going to leave his wife for her, and finally has to come to terms with the fact that that's never going to happen. Another one is a single mother whose ex-husband has said he's gay, and she ends up finally falling in love with a new neighbor. The third one, I'm trying to remember, she's her married lover. She's pregnant, and her lover dumps her, and or she dumps him and decides to raise the baby on her own. But then the Angela Bassett story, she finds out that her husband has been having an affair and is leaving her, and for a woman that he works with. And so they end up going through divorce, and she ends up getting quite a settlement out of the whole thing. So that's the divorce in this film. But really, it's a character film about these women, and I just loved their journey for each of these women in the film. Whitney Houston, Angela Bassett, Leela Rashawn, and Loretta Devine play the 4 women. And it's just a fantastic, really kind of touching film that I don't hear people talking about much at all, but it's definitely worth checking out. Waiting to Exhale.
I totally agree with you, Andy, and I really I almost want to give you a steal because it should have been. I didn't even think about this movie, and I should have, and I regret it. It's a great pick, and it really bums me out that it's only a 5.8 on the IMDb.
So much better than that.
Yeah. Sorry, it is so much better than that. Yeah. Great pick.
Have you seen it, Steve?
No.
Well, once you do, everyone else will.
Everyone else will.
This is just not one that had any appeal for me. And I know Forrest Whitaker. I have no doubt it's a solid film. It's just it's not a story in 1995. What is it? 1995?
95. Yeah.
This was not the demographic. I was not the demographic for this movie. So I may one day get around to. I enjoy good character, stories. So.
Well, he's only directed 4 films. This was the second of his 4.
The second?
So, But it's worth checking out. So if you ever get around to it,
you'll know because all the reviews will show up.
I'll start pouring in.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right, Pete, what's your second one?
All right, my second pick is it's a film about a divorced woman who decides to hook up with this guy and then also becomes best friends with the guy's ex-husband. It's a little bit of a confusing story, but it is fantastic. Why? Because Julia Louis-Dreyfus is amazing, and it doesn't matter what she's in. It's 2013's Enough Said. I only saw this movie because it was, the film that was released after James Gandolfini died, right? I think that's how the timing worked. This was his last feature film, and it took me a while to see it, but I wanted to see it because I like him so much, and so I caught this movie. I got to tell you, it was worth it. I really enjoy the weird kind of trio between them, Catherine Keener, James Gandolfini, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. They're just genuinely funny people, and the way Dreyfus handles awkwardness is like, it just took me back. It took me back to the great Seinfeld days and all the stuff that I loved about Veep. And I think she's just really talented. I really enjoyed this movie. It is a 7 on the IMDb scale, so if you haven't seen it, it's worth seeing if you're into the divorce stories. This was another one that was high on my list.
I missed that one. It piqued my curiosity, but not enough to ever get around to it.
I don't even remember hearing about this movie.
It's worth it.
Okay. Oh, well, I'll make sure to watch it this weekend then.
Lock and load.
Wow, does that mean Pete just became patient zero?
I can't handle that pressure, you guys. Please don't.
No, I mean, it's an interesting cast. And first it makes me realize I can't believe it's been like Gandolfini's been gone that long. 2013. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, there's everything about this movie that I like. Nicole Holofcener, I like her as a director. I don't know. I just, it wasn't something that got me going. I don't know. I missed it. It was very indie release.
Yeah. Yep. And it's just, one of these, it's not one I'm going to go to the theater to see. This is one of those, back in the, 90s when I had cable TV, if it was like flipping channels and if it was on like TBS or TNT or something, it might have grabbed my attention, but this is not a movie I'm going to actively chase down to see. It's going to take a recommendation from somebody to say, oh, check this out. And then if it shows up on Netflix or Hulu, I'll add it to my watch list and then someday get around to it. Because there's nothing that's like, oh, I have a must see on this.
Yeah. Keep an eye out for it. At least now we've planted the seed. And, did you guys see Can You Ever Forgive Me?
No,
never got
It's on my list. I still haven't seen it.
I am very curious about that one too. Nicole Holofcener has wrote that one. And so it's, especially after kind of revisiting this one, it's worth it.
Okay.
Looks good.
All
right. Steve, number 2.
Oh, what do I do for number 2? Where are we going? Okay, so the divorce. I know Andy's seen this one, and this one I just saw, and it because Andy had good things to say about it. I did, and it starts off with a divorce, the beginning. So the divorce happens, and it sets into action a whole ridiculous chain of events that sends Melissa McCarthy back to college in Life of the Party, and. What?
It's so good.
It is. Oh my, yes. My wife and I watched it. We just, oh my gosh, had so much fun with this. And again, Melissa McCarthy can be hit or miss on these, and this one just worked so well for us. And probably because our oldest is off at her first year at college, there were just so many things that just resonated with us, and it just had a great time with this one. So it's recent, and a lot of people probably have seen it or should have seen it because it is so much fun. So that's my second one, Life of the Party.
I have not seen it.
Oh,
it's well worth it. I watched, I recently finished, other than Can You Forgive Me, I recently finished my Melissa McCarthy marathon going through all of her films. And it shot way up there. It's number 3 behind Spy and Bridesmaids for me. It's just so good.
Wow.
Her character's amazing. And I couldn't show it to my kids because there are certainly plenty of things that don't work. But there were a few scenes that we watched together, like when she's trying to give her presentation in front of her class and ends up, having a nervous kind of a panic attack. And that was, I mean, there are some scenes in that just had us rolling on the floor. It's a brilliant bit of comedy.
So to not spoil anything for Pete, but Andy, when they're at the restaurant,
oh yes,
we had to pause and we were just what? Oh yeah, lost it. Just brilliant. I thought this is really well thought out, well put together. Oh my gosh, yes.
Check it out, Pete.
So much fun.
It's a great
Check it
one.
out, Pete.
Right.
Definitely. I will gladly say Andy is patient zero. He got me to see it, but no, oh my gosh, it's so much fun. Definitely not for kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my second one
to the watch list now.
There you go.
Steve says, "Watch this movie."
Oh yeah, yes.
My second pick is a Noah Baumbach film, who's not usually a director I click with too much, but this one I did. And I don't know if it just felt like me growing up with my own divorced parents or what, but there was a sense of things in this film that just kind of, it's far from how my parents were, but it's still just like there were elements in it that just kind of rang really true for me. It is his 2005 film, The Squid and the Whale, which I really kind of clicked with, and it wonderfully played divorced parents by Jeff Daniels and Laura Linney as they're going through kind of their divorce, and then Jesse Eisenberg is kind of the kid that we're following, one of their two sons, and it's his story as he's kind of navigating this divorce of his parents, and it's a really, I don't know. It's kind of a tough film to watch. It's not exactly kind of a breezy comedy about divorce. This is definitely kind of just a pretty honest depiction of it, I felt, and I don't know. I really enjoyed it. In as much as you can enjoy kind of a difficult, dark film about divorce, that's my second pick, The Squid and the Whale.
And a steal.
There you go.
Oh,
yep.
Sorry, buddy.
I'm totally with you on this. It was hard to watch, and it actually is one of the reasons that I think I don't enjoy remembering divorce movies all that well, and so I really appreciate your commentary on it. I think it was besides that I thought it was a terrific movie. So
did I tell you that I'm sneaking a divorce series onto the list later this year?
New phone, who dis?
So you didn't see it?
No, I've seen it because I heard, and I saw it, and I haven't seen it since. And it is tough to watch, and I don't connect with him. His story.
I usually don't.
Yeah. I think I saw While We're Young recently, and I enjoyed that one, but it goes back to like Kicking and Screaming, was first, which was just like in that era of indie films in the 90s where it's like, here's a bunch of people sitting around talking about how smart they are and look how clever they are, and it put me off. And I did appreciate it. It wasn't a story that I really connected with. So that's, but I know that he's got a big people that are into his stuff really love his stuff, so I can see its place there.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. My last, we're going to say bonus pick. Actually, we don't see the divorce in the movie. We see the trying to reconcile from the divorce. This is one of my very, very favorite movies. I think it's pretty divisive. It is from director Alexander Payne, based on screenplay by Payne and Jim Taylor, and the book by Rex Pickett, which I haven't read. It is Sideways. It is the story of Miles and Jack, brilliantly played by Paul Giamatti and Thomas Hayden Church, as they head out to wine country for wine and to celebrating Jack's upcoming wedding and all of the things that go hand in hand with that. And it is Miles that is still processing his divorce, and we get some drunk telephone calls to his ex-wife, and it's just grim. And I think one of the things I like so much about it, and particularly the way we address it in the film, is that Paul Giamatti is so good at handling the sort of divorce PTSD and in the film. It's just something I really, insofar as I can't connect with the divorce experience, I connect with his portrayal of it here, and it's just a movie that I really connected with and love every time I watch it. I can put it on any time. So, Sideways, when did it come out? 2004, I think.
That was another one that I wanted to have on my list, but I didn't because they were already divorced. But
I know.
I'm glad you snuck it on here because if only for the scene toward the end of the film when, not to spoil it, but his ex kind of reveals something to him.
Yeah.
Watching Paul Giamatti and just the emotional reaction he has, I think that speaks to post-divorce relationships when you're trying to get along with your ex and how certain things in their life, as they're moving on and changing things, can really still affect you. I thought that was really powerful.
Nope. I mean, yes, I've seen it. Nope. I recall having a very strong reaction of disliking this movie.
Oh.
I don't know why. There was something about it that just...
It's because you love Merlot.
No, it had nothing to do with that. Is he a writer or a teacher or something like that?
He's trying to get his first book published.
Right. And there was something about that I don't know. And I can't, it's been so long since I've seen it, but because I'd heard all these things, great things about it. And I was like, okay. And there was something about it that just was at odds with me or something. And I just did not like the sort of the theme or what this film had to say. And I remember being really angry or upset about it for some reason, but I can't remember why. So, but I didn't see it.
Makes me sad. Yeah. It's so good. And Sandra Oh and Virginia Madsen are so wonderful.
Exactly.
Ugh.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that proves that neither of us should ever watch this film again because we might be swayed the other way, and I don't want to risk that.
No, don't want to do that.
All right. Steve.
Let's see. Whenever we do divorce movies, this is the one that it's always there at the top of my list, and I'm sticking with the comedy route. And this is it's ultimately quotable in our household. I guess maybe divorce is such, I don't know. I prefer the comic take on this. And if you're going to get married, you better have a Miles Massey prenup in place to make sure that you're protected on all sides in 2003's Intolerable Cruelty, where we have multiple marriages and divorces, Joel and Ethan Coen, George Clooney, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Billy Bob Thornton. Oh my gosh, I love this movie so much. It is one of my it's a Coen film that's not a Coen film, but it just is such a zany screwball comedy. I love it.
It was not my favorite of theirs.
Yeah.
I didn't care for it that much. I thought it was it had some funny moments. Certainly had a lot of Coen feel to it. But yeah, it's never been one that I cared for that much, and certainly not one that I have thought about revisiting.
Oh my gosh, Gus Petch, the whole court scene. Oh my gosh, so many great moments.
Well, I mean, it's just because Clooney is so versatile as a performer. Yeah. I mean, he's just amazing that he can go from property to property the way he does and still be incredibly charming and charismatic and awesome. I actually really like this movie. I'm with you. It wasn't my favorite of their films, but it's certainly. I enjoyed my time with it. I like watching them together. I think they have a great chemistry, and it's better than War of the Roses.
Yes, it is.
Way to drop it on my final pick, Pete.
Oh no!
I loved War of the Roses. Thank you very much.
Oh,
I watched this movie so many times when I was younger. I had so much fun with it. I can't believe that you just said that. I had to crush my whole happiness and vibes.
Oh, Andy, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. The War of the Roses is a very black comedy that Danny DeVito directed, reuniting him along with Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner from Romancing the Stone and The Jewel of the Nile. Which is largely probably the reason that I went to the theater to watch this, because I loved their pairing so much. It's, it is a dark film. It's not a perfect film, but I just loved watching these two just go at it. And man, do they really go at it. Like, they are just terrible to each other as they're kind of going through this divorce and trying to, one up each other on not wanting to kind of back down on everything, the house and everything in it. And just all of the battling that they do with each other. And the whole thing is kind of course, bookended by their lawyer, played by Danny DeVito, who's with another a pair of people who are going to get divorced. And he's telling them this story about the Roses, this couple played by Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. And it ends up, and how horrible it ends up. And of course, it does help this couple decide to reconcile and find a way to settle their differences the right way. I had a great time with this movie. I haven't revisited it in a very long time, but my recollection is that I just found it to be just a fun and dark ride. So there.
Okay.
You can have it.
Yep.
And that's on our divorce films series. So
it's out there now. It's out there. I should probably watch it again. It's one of my memory of it is that it got so dark, and I think it is
so good.
Really exemplifies why I'm just not. I don't enjoy watching movies about divorce in general. I think we've got a good set of films on this list, and they're good films apart from the divorces. And that the story is not about the divorce, and this movie, that's all there is. And I just have a hard time with it. I'm sure it's great.
Well, it's a dark comedy, and I think with Danny DeVito's dark comedies, you really have to be ready for them, because he doesn't really hold back in this one. He really doesn't. Pretty dark, pretty fun.
Yeah.
I was going to go with Boyhood as my last option, but I was torn between those two. But you pushed me into that one.
Boyhood was on my list as well, but I decided to stick with the more lighter comedies. So, okay.
I'm also. Let me say this then: War of the Roses is great, especially compared to First Wives Club. I'm gratified that no one put First Wives Club on the list.
Well, I also had going back, and I remember seeing this on cable, and it's such an insidery movie, and I don't think it's necessarily a good film, but Irreconcilable Differences with Drew Barrymore and Ryan O'Neal, and I remember and I guess that's when I was starting to like appreciate and understand filmmaking and all of that, and just the whole like musical sequence in their remake of Gone with the Wind is the one thing that I remember about that, but I have no recollection of if that story holds up or how dated that movie feels. But that was another one that was sort of, as I was brainstorming, thinking of how do you handle the sensitive topic of divorce in a comic way, not in a disturbing, violent way like Andy enjoys.
That's right.
Right. All right. So what do we got going this week?
We're going to be looking at Casablanca. So there's one that we've actually all seen and can likely come up with a decent list or set of options for everybody. So what do you want to do?
Misquoted movies, famously misquoted movies. Are there more than one?
Well, there's two. Treasure of the Sierra Madre.
Yes. We got World War II. I guess. How would you? Yeah, I guess like the relationship of like, I don't know, rekindling an old romance.
Oh, I like that. Like the whole reunited bit, right?
Yeah,
I like that.
Weirdly, we just had that as an option for a Chinese puzzle, rekindling old flames. So they're perfect.
I really want to do something related to nightclubs, but nightclubs in Revolution. Are there any movies like that besides this?
Like what, wartime nightclubs?
Great wartime nightclubs? I don't know, but it just feels like that should be represented somewhere.
For that one, because I don't know if I'll be able to put a list together.
I think nightclubs in general would be fine.
Best nightclubs in movies.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I like that.
That's broad.
Okay.
How about it? It needs to specifically be nightclubs with live music.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
That at least limits it, so we're not just listening to jukeboxes.
Yes. Right.
And what else?
Is it?
What
is
else?
It,
how about sacrificing your relationship for the better good?
Okay.
Is that too difficult to put together?
I think that's
no. We're up for a challenge.
Yeah, could do that. I like that.
All right. Okay. Well, so that's it. Rekindling an old romance, nightclubs with live music, and sacrificing your relationship for the greater good.
Beautiful.
Wonderful.
Beautiful. Let's do it.
All right. It is up, everybody. So get your votes in.
And we got a boogie because I'm very excited. Andy and I have another show to go record.
We do.
Marks an end of an era.
We're recording the final episode of the Marvel Movie Minute Iron Man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Special guest, too. Very excited. It's going to be a good one.
Know.
Okay.
It's going to be a good one.
All right.
Well, thank you, Steve.
May the 4th be with you.
Yes.
Is that? Oh, wow. That's today. We didn't even make any gags.
No.
I guess that's played.
I guess we just did.
Well, we can bring that over into Discord, and we can talk about the loss of Peter Mayhew and all of that over there.
That's true.
Way to bring it down right at the
end.
I
got it.
Thanks.
Yes.
Thanks, Steve.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks everybody for downloading and listening to this. We sure appreciate it, and thank you all of our patrons who make all of this stuff possible. We appreciate you. Have a great weekend.
Hondo.
Oh, I said May the 4th. That was my it. That was my May the 4th. May the 4th Hondo be with you.